Good evening. Good evening to everyone. This is the weekly episode of question and answer session. You're welcome to ask any kind of questions. Real estate, state of Utah, real estate investing. That's what I'm here for. I love this. I love the state that I live in, and I really enjoy helping everyone out. This week in Utah, it has been a bit of a mixed weather. Last weekend, it was cold. We had a storm front come through, warmed up some this week. Yesterday was cloudy. Today, the sun was out. I got outside today. It was great in that sunshine. Got some exercise. Just a fantastic day. Enjoy some of these late days that we have before winter. Good evening to you also. So if you have any kind of questions, I do have some already lined up. I've talked to a few people this week, and I'm going to start with some of those. So we get prepared. I can't believe Thanksgiving is a week away. I don't know where the year has gone, but I guess that's just life in general. But I had a question about pet-friendly communities. Most communities in Utah, I feel, are pet-friendly. The state of Utah has tried to market itself as the outdoor destination. And with that, you really can't say you're an outdoor destination if you don't have communities where they're pet-friendly. In my opinion, it goes with the outdoor nature animals at the same time. So there are many, many parks and areas in most communities that are pet friendly. So I feel we are. I have 3 dogs, 2 cats, a tortoise, and some fish. So it's important to us. Yes, I agree. We in my household too, we're pet lovers. I'm actually married to a veterinarian, so in my household, animals come first, I come second. So that's just the rules. If you don't have 4 legs, then you're lower priority, and I don't have 4 legs. So, but yes, we are big pet lovers, and I feel the state of Utah is though. It's a I know in the veterinarian business, it's a booming business around here. It really is. Every location is booked solid. You can't find doctors to work there. Just a shortage of staff in general. But a lot of families have pets. So the job market and the kinds of jobs that are in Utah. I had that question this week. So the job market in Utah is very, very good. A few weeks ago, it was announced that we had the lowest unemployment rate in the nation. I'm not too sure about this week, but I would imagine if we are not the lowest unemployment, we are very close to it. So that hasn't changed much. As far as kind of jobs go, there is a variety of sectors. A lot is talked about the high-tech industry. Yes, that is true. But I find there is a vast majority of sectors. And I find people will switch jobs here quite a bit. So because of the demand, I mentioned it probably once before. I have a friend of mine that his company offered him an early retirement. This was a couple months ago. And so he took the early retirement, and with his skill set that he has, he retired on a Friday and started a new job on a Monday. He wasn't quite ready to retire. He wants to work for about another 6, 7, maybe 8 years. And the way he put it to me was, Mike, I just doubled my money. I'm getting a retirement check from the one company, and I started a new one. And now we are basically going to, over the next few years, buy all the toys and everything that we want to enjoy in retirement, like a cabin and motorhome or camper trailer, et cetera, and get those paid off so it's a great opportunity for him. But he managed to easily just find work in his same career field. And you see that a lot. One of my brother's friends was just talking to me too. He's talking to his boss about a raise. And if not, he's already got something lined up. So, and for him, it'll actually be a little bit shorter commute. So benefits all the way around for him. So that happens a fair amount that I notice. So I got a question about the whole St. George, Southern Utah area, which I also cover. Also, I have an agent that helps me down there, as it's a little bit of a distance, but we do cover that area. But we were talking about not living in St. George. What options are there? Because they just didn't want to live in the city. So I had a few options. I thought I would share that for anybody who is looking at the southern end of the state. A couple areas that I really like would be New Harmony. New Harmony is between Cedar City and St. George. Fantastic area. Cedar City itself is a fantastic area. So Cedar City is about an hour north of St. George. The thing with Cedar City is if you are going to southern Utah for the winters for warmer temperatures, it'll be warmer in St. George than in Cedar City. Cedar City has a little higher elevation, so they do get a little cooler in the winter months. So if that's a major factor for you, keep that in mind with Cedar City. The Hurricane Laverton area outside of St. George is very popular, and so is Ivins, another destination that I've had a lot of clients purchase homes in the Ivins area. These are all around the St. George area, and if you did not want to live in St. George. Another question here. If you want some land, like at least an acre, where would you recommend looking? Salt Lake and north. Okay. So land, so the geographical development in Utah, as you're looking at along the Wasatch Front, you have the mountains to the east and you have the Great Salt Lake to the west. So you only have north to south in a sense. You can only go so far east and west. When we're looking at the Salt Lake market and Utah County market and Davis County market, it is getting more and more difficult to find 1 acre and above lots. Even half acre, 3/4 acre lots are getting harder to find as far as raw land goes. There are some homes in these areas where people have existing homes on them that you can find little larger acreage. But as far as raw land goes, kind of running out a little bit of land in some of those areas. There is a little bit of exceptions to some of them. When you're in Utah County, if you go west, Eagle Mountain, that area out there, you can find in Davis County. If you were in the Syracuse area, a little further west again, a little bit better chance. When you get into Weber County and north, you will find a lot more. So when you're looking at Weber, Box Elder County, Cache County, up where Logan is, yes, you can find land in those areas. I actually have a few clients. We are looking for land right now for people north of some of these areas. And it's great, especially if you're like retired or you can work from home and you don't have a commute. Some of the areas, Morgan County, Box Elder County, Cache County, great places to live. And you can find 1 acre lots and larger. So, and a couple things about the acreage, you have people, sometimes people want, 3, 4, 5, 6 acres. And my question always is, the maintenance on that land can be a little bit of a chore, especially as you get a little bit older. A lot of people put a house and have a little bit of grass around it and they leave the rest in its natural state. Well, weeds grow and, you got to maintain all that. So, or at least try to maintain it. So it becomes a little bit of a chore, the more land that you get. My brother is on 1.5 acres, and his home and most of his yards sit on about half acre, and the rest is in its natural state. And I think he mows the weeds out there probably every 2 to 3 weeks to keep them down and make it look really nice. So it's a little bit of work. Another question there. What is west of Salt Lake? I've never seen any houses out there. Okay, west of Salt Lake, you have areas like West Valley City, Magna, and then you pretty much are starting to hit the mountain. On the other side of the mountain is Tooele County, where you would have Tooele City. So that would be towards the west. Some areas of the west are being developed as industrial. So some of those areas, more and more has become industrial. It's building up the west side of Salt Lake City, especially about 5600 west and further west is a lot more industrial is going in and will probably continue going in the future in some of those areas. So is there a Chinatown in Salt Lake City? Great question. I don't have an answer for you on that one. I'd have to look that one up. Another question. I mean, north of I-80. North of I-80. No, there isn't, because you're really running into the Great Salt Lake. So there is a little bit of land and everything there, but not much. It's and I'm not too sure who owns some of that land. That is the area where they are actually going to build the new prison, which they have already started on. So, hello, I'm from Puerto Rico, and I like to move to Utah in a few years. Any recommendation? Well, sure, move here. As far as recommendation goes, as far as like where to live, north, south, east, west, I guess it's going to depend on, are you going to be working or are you retired? And if you're working, I guess a lot's going to depend on where you plan on working at, what particular company. You wouldn't want something maybe in northern Utah, like in Weber or Box Elder County. If you're working in Utah County, that commute would be a long commute. So it depends on where you're going to work at. Could give you a better idea is what I would want a little bit more from. For me to move there. Any recommendations for me to move there? Can I get a little bit more information on what you're referring to as that, as what their requirements are, or like where you would like to live in Utah? But yeah, sure. A little bit more information. I'm glad to expand on that a little bit. But it's great to have somebody from Puerto Rico. My first time. I have not talked. I've talked to people all over the world. And Puerto Rico, this is my first time. So pleased to meet you and to get to know you. I'm an X-ray technician, so it's going to be better for me to be near a hospital. Okay, so yeah, along the Wasatch Front in northern Utah, you have a variety of counties. All the counties, I should say, all have hospitals, all have major hospitals that employ X-ray technicians. More so in the Salt Lake County area, because not only do you have your general hospitals, you also have some specialty hospitals, like Primary Children's Hospital, which specializes in children, and also the Huntsman Cancer Institute, which is one of the leading cancer institutes for the United States, which also hires, I would imagine they hire X-ray technicians. I don't know for sure. But yeah, so you would find more probably in the Salt Lake area, but Utah County does have quite a few hospitals, Davis County, and also the other would be Weber County has 2 major hospitals in Weber County. So, yeah, I guess depends on where the job openings are at when you go to apply. So, great question, and if you do move to Utah, by all means, give me a call, whatever. I'd love to sit down with you, and I love learning about other cultures and other countries. So it fascinates me, and I just love to explore that. I love to travel, so I always like great tips on where to go when I go to different places. So, all right. Logan is good places. Logan is a good place. Yes, Logan is a very good place. Logan is a place, they call it Cache Valley. It's, I really love it up there. I love my trips up to Logan. I would love to live in the Cache Valley area. I love going to the Utah State Aggie football games up there and basketball games. I love that drive. So I also support other teams in Utah, but I love catching a game there from time to time. I love the drive up to Logan through the Sardine Canyon. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. The whole area. Special place. And one more thing about Logan before I get to the next one, a little bit of, and just don't take my word about it. I can tell you, so the football coach for the Utah State Aggies, he was the coach. Coach Anderson was the coach probably about 10 years ago. Well, he got promoted, went to Wisconsin, Oregon State, some high-paying jobs, larger teams than Utah State. Well, there was an opening at Utah State a couple years ago, and he applied for the job and came back to Utah State. When he came back to Utah State, he announced that he had kept his house the whole time in Logan, Utah, because he always wanted to come back and retire there. He loves that whole area. So that's pretty, yeah. So he enjoyed coming back to coach a second time at Utah State. Loved the area. They kept their home there while he took other head coaching jobs around the country. So anyways, that's another person's kind of point of view on it. In a video I watched, someone said that Utah people like for out-of-state people moving into leave out-of-state values at state line. What does that mean? Oh, so that was me. That was the video I had a couple weeks ago. So in what I was referring to by that is some states have laws in their states or values in their states that people from Utah aren't as keen on. One would be somewhat like your gun rights laws. Some states are really strict. Utah loves their hunting and fishing and everything like that, and they want to keep it that way. They aren't very keen when people move to the state and they want to enforce all these different, change the gun laws and gun rights. That's just one point of view. Another one that comes up is on recreational marijuana. And it's controversial, so I'm not taking an opinion either way. But some states have recreational marijuana, and then they get jobs here, and then they feel Utah should change their laws and allow it, and that. But the people that live here kind of like it at where we do not have a recreational marijuana law where you can just walk into a store and buy it. Our neighboring states do, and we hear about it all the time. Colorado, Nevada. So, and that's kind of what they basically they don't want to change the things that we have in the state of Utah. They love the outdoors, and we don't want to put. Sometimes people are wanting to put restrictions on our national parks and some of our recreational land that we have. Some people feel that we should not use it as recreational land. So, and that's the viewpoint in some states, but the people here like it that way. They're outdoor people and they love it. And so that's kind of my reference I was meaning by, and we're not the only state. Idaho is the exact same way. I have relatives in Idaho and they like people moving there, but there are people that are moving there that want to change it from the Idaho values. And the Idaho values are very similar to Utah's. A lot of hunters, a lot of fishermen. They like that stuff, and they don't want more gun laws and et cetera, or clamping down on hunting and stuff like that. So great. Another question here. What's the price range for nice apartments in Salt Lake City area? So if you're talking nice apartment, I guess everyone's opinion on nice apartments changes, just like a nice house. But I'm going to just go with the fact of, if we're talking maybe nice apartments, what some people want, they want the brand new ones that are being built throughout Salt Lake County. You will pay more for the newer construction apartments throughout the whole valley, without a doubt. I would say you're going to have to be around the $1,500 range. That's, give or take where you're at in the Salt Lake Valley. It can change, and depending on the amenities that you want, some of these are coming with a lot of amenities built into these apartments. So really becoming high tech. I have not lived in an apartment in many years, so I don't have a lot of apartment experience. But as we refer back to Logan, they have an apartment building that was built right across from the university. And they actually put a bowling alley in the apartment for the residents. So it's the first time I've heard of that and first time that I've seen it. But I don't visit a lot of apartments specifically myself. But I would imagine you would pay for that amenity. So gotcha. Thanks for clarifying. You're welcome. And anytime. So people in Utah, if someone's moving to Utah, people in Utah will welcome you with open arms. They are, yes, there's not signs saying go home or anything like that. I haven't come across it. And if it is very, very small minority of people with those type of viewpoints. But I think general, the growth and everything, we become accustomed to neighbors from a variety of states. And we're getting people from the East Coast. New York is coming here. So people from New York, it's changing a lot. So another question I got this here week was my opinion on the Winter Olympics and growth. Well, the Winter Olympics, Utah is trying to get another Winter Olympics here. We have the facilities. The facilities are still there. Some of them got turned over to the local county, so I'm not too sure what would happen on that, but I'm sure they would work something out. But the Winter Olympics is something that Utah is trying for again. As far as growth goes, yes. My opinion is if another Olympics came to Utah, the growth, we would have even more growth than we're having now. After the 2002 Olympics, growth skyrocketed. And a lot of that's to do with people who had never been here before, came for the Olympic events, decided maybe I'd like to have a second home here, retire here, or maybe I'll look for a job here. And it did drive growth very, very much. So another Olympics would drive growth. So yeah, without a doubt. More information for Cedar City area, please. Sure. What kind of information would you like? Any particular question? Would you like to shoot me an email? And I'll definitely answer any kind of questions you might have. Cedar City is a great area. It doesn't quite get the in my opinion, doesn't quite get the recognition or the popularity as St. George does. And I think the number one reason is a lot of people in northern Utah who want a second home for winter months choose St. George, Utah over Cedar City because it's a little warmer in St. George in the winter months than it is in Cedar City. And I think that's one of the top reasons. Cedar City has a little bit more elevation, a little bit further north, so the temperature does vary. And I don't know if I could even put a number on it, maybe 5 degrees, 7 degrees different in the winter months. So, but in general, if someone is looking for a retirement home, in my rough estimate that I've come across, if you're looking for the most warmth, once you get past St. George, Las Vegas is probably about 10 degrees warmer than St. George in the winter months, and Phoenix is about 10 degrees warmer than Las Vegas in the winter months, in general. And I've had customers tell me that too. I've had people have built a home in St. George or bought a home in St. George, and they then have moved to like Phoenix. They're like, well, it's 68 degrees in St. George, but it's 88 in Phoenix, and we would just rather have the 88. So it's amazing some of these things you pick up along the way. But Cedar City, great area. And then other nice thing about Cedar City that I like is, so you have a major hospital in St. George, and you're only an hour away. So if you need any kind of medical care, procedures, whatever, you're only an hour down the road. So it's manageable. And now if you really need specialty care like the UAU or the Huntsman Cancer Institute, you're probably to Salt Lake City to those hospitals, you're probably about 3.5 hour drive. So, and I look at those things. I bring it up a lot about hospitals, but I had to go to a specialist at the U a year back in 2009. He was the only surgeon in the state. He actually covered 3 states because there was nobody in Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada at the time. And the only man was at the University of Utah. And after that episode, I realized sometimes I need to think more on medical care. So other than tech, what are the popular industries in Utah? Well, I would say one of the number one employers is the military base, Hill Air Force Base. It's one of the largest civilian employment bases in the country. So between not only with government jobs, you have a lot of contractors that also are calling home to, whether it's Northrop Grumman, BAE Systems. There's many more. Huge amounts of jobs. L3 Communications, they do a lot of government work. State of Utah employs a lot, and then we have other companies that are outside of some of the tech companies, your Amazons and hospital jobs, et cetera, et cetera. I can't think of an industry that we don't have. We've even got specialty industries, like Autoliv. They build the airbags for the cars. You find, you drive around, you start seeing some of these places. So on bum Utah up to number 1 is just the perfect states. I bummed Utah up to number 1. Oh, you bumped Utah up to number 1. Oh, I understand it a little better. Okay. Bump Utah up number 1. It's just a perfect state. Yes, you could be correct. I pretty much only know the state of Utah in a sense. A lot of the other states I have visited, a lot of states. There's some I have not visited. So Utah has a lot going for it. So it's definitely I love it here. It depends on what you do and what your interests are, and it's there are things we don't have here. Well, we don't have a beach, we don't have an ocean, so not happening. We don't have an NFL team here, so if someone's a diehard Packer fan, well, they've got a long way to go to a game, or you watch it on TV here. So we do have the Raiders in Las Vegas, which is it's not a Utah team, but it's about the closest. Well, it's a toss up between there and the Denver Broncos. So, but okay, are there neighborhoods where you can just ride your side by side straight to the trails and not have to trailer it? Was this not a fair question to ask? No, it is a perfect question to ask, and you've contacted the perfect guy, because I own a side by side. Yes. So what it is, you would have to make it street legal. And I don't know all the requirements. I can't remember them all. Basically, you've got to have turn signals, brake light, headlight, mirror, side, rear view mirror. Some of this already comes on a side by side. It's the turn signals that normally do not. So you got to put the switch of some sort. You have to have a horn. That usually doesn't come. Very, you can buy the kits. Matter of fact, you go on eBay and you can put your particular maker model, Razor, Can-Am, X3, whatever. You can usually buy a kit for as low as like $60, a generic one, to a specialized one for your particular machine for $200. But yes, once it's street legal, you can ride it straight to the trail. I mean, I see it all the time. People go to the grocery store, places like that. It's I personally do not do that, but I had mine street legal mostly for the fact sometimes you got to get gas. I go to certain places and you may need to get gas, or sometimes you got to take the city streets to get to the gas station. You don't want to get pulled over and get a ticket with that half a mile journey that you take. So, but yeah, side by sides are very popular in Utah. A lot of people own them, and people come from all over the country to come riding here. Very, very popular. I've met people from, you name the states. I've run into people down at Sand Mountain, places like that, all over. Moab, lots of areas to ride. So whether you want something like rock crawling down in Moab, you can go sand dunes, you can be in the mountains, and you've got surrounding states with great places to ride also. It is like side-by-side heaven here. It's Utah has limitations on alcohol and weed, but you're right next door to Nevada and Colorado. That's true. That's true. We really don't have any limitations on alcohol. All alcohol is available. It's just beer is sold in the stores, but wine and liquor has to be bought from a state liquor store, which they do not have the hours that a grocery store would have. So your time frames are different, but everything is available. But weed, yes, we do not have. We have medical marijuana weed, and you have to have a license and doctor's notes and everything like that to get it. But yeah, recreational weed, in my opinion, just my opinion, and I'm not a state legislator, and never have been, never probably will be, but we will probably be one of the last states to ever maybe get approved for recreational marijuana. That's just how I feel it is. So if you're going to ride in the streets, do you need a yearly tag? Yes. So with the street legal kit, you also have an actual, it's exact same as a car. So you'll have a license plate. So you'll pay for license plate and registration on your unit. So it's not much more money, because if you do not have it street legal and you just have it as off-road use, you also have to have a tag. So you would pay that registration fee to have a dirt bike, motorbike, side-by-side, whatever, as an off-road vehicle. So when you make it street legal, you get a license plate and a registration. So you're still paying fees either way you go. Street legal is a little bit more, but it's very minor. But on a street legal also, you do have to have insurance. So if you register it as a off-road machine, I guess technically you wouldn't have to have insurance, but if you wrecked it, then I guess you'd be out of pocket. I know a lot of people have like older dirt bikes and stuff, and they usually will just do off-road, and some of them don't have insurance on them because the bikes are worth $500 these days or something like that. Some of the older ones, but seriously consider moving to Utah. Yeah. Is one of the reasons because of the side-by-side. A few people do move here. It predominantly, from the East Coast. As you know, being a side-by-side owner, you can imagine that there are trails on the East Coast that you have to have a narrower machine to ride, and that's what I've been told. I haven't personally been out there, where we have a lot more open land, and those newer machines that are 72 inches wide, we can run them in the desert on trails around here, everything. But on the East Coast, a lot of people can't buy those machines because they won't fit on their trails, and they're limited on where they can ride and stuff like that. Yeah, it's so we are not Mormons, but Protestant, is there a good selection of churches available? I don't have an exact answer for you on that. I'm not as familiar with your particular religion. But there are a variety of religions in Utah, very well supported, and a lot of churches for most religions. So I would imagine you would be able to find one. I would have to ask around for sure. Yes, I love the outdoors. Yeah, and that's what if someone asked me to define Utah, there'd be two things: we're a family state, and number two, we are an outdoor capital. Whether it's from skiing is what predominantly known, all the way down to fishing, hunting, side-by-sides, and hiking, mountain biking, everything. Yes, that's what the state's built on, and the outdoor recreation is a lot of it to go around. I mean, I can't even. I forget most of the different things that go on. So, as far as news goes, along this same line, a lot of people have been talking here about the ski industry. It's very, very big skiing industry, millions and millions of dollars. So they are opening. As a matter of fact, Bryan Head, Park City Mountain, and Woodward Park City will be opening this weekend. Alta Ski area is going to open on Monday. And I think most of the other areas, because I talked to someone at the basin, Snow Basin, I call it the basin. I believe they are planning on next weekend or very shortly. And there are going to be some changes. The good thing is that nearly all the ski resorts, they got together and try to come up with their own COVID plan. So if you go from ski resort to ski resort, you're probably going to find about the same sort of requirements. Masks will be required, and social distancing is pretty much the highlight of most of what you would have with the COVID. So you can still ski, snowboard. I mean, just like a lot of the United States, whether you're a football fan, some have fans, some don't. There are restrictions in place. So just what we have to deal with this year. Hopefully this year only. It's really weighing on this particular state, and I think it's weighing on the whole country. So another interesting article that came out, Utah has been voted as one of the most generous in the nation for donations. Wallet Hub, they did a 10-year study, and they ranked Utah first overall and first in several categories such as having the highest percentage of its populations who donate money and time and the highest percentage of income giving. I really love that statistic. I really do love, I'm a charitable person myself. I love charity. And it's good to see that Utah ranked in first place in most of their categories as far as giving and donating money and time to charity. So great. I think it's great news. Yes, I love the outdoors. Thanks for the info. I'll reach out to you. Sure, anytime, by all means. So, yeah, I'd be curious, what kind of side-by-side do you have, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a big side-by-side fan. So, you know, I know most of them, X3s, Razors, Turbo S. I'm very familiar with some of that stuff. So it's addictive. I warn people. So, you know, people come here and I sell them houses and everything like that, and they ask about a side-by-side. And first thing I say is, you know, it's a money pit and it is addictive. You always want to upgrade your machine and make modifications and money. So it's addictive. What are the best cities in Utah for families? Well, I guess, boy, most cities are. It depends what category you want. And first thing that comes to mind when I think of a question like that, I think of school districts. So the two areas that always rank really high for best school districts is the Davis County School District, which would have like Layton, Kaysville, Bountiful, it's north of Salt Lake, and Summit County School District, which encompasses like the Park City area. So that's what comes to mind when I think best cities for a family, because a lot of people along that same line, you know, are concerned about school districts. So the other good thing about Utah in general is if you are purchasing a home, if you are in a good school district, you will probably have great growth, home appreciation. A lot of people in Utah with families, a good school district is one of the most important things on their list. They will commute to work for whatever distance as long as they can still stay in a good school district. So it's great. Now you have a Can-Am XRC. Okay, Rock Crawler. All right. And Kawasaki Brute Force. Yeah. Yes. Not that familiar with the Kawasaki, but yeah, your Can-Am Rock Crawler. Yes. That's a Moab machine and a half right there. It's already set up for Moab. So rock crawling is not my particular cup of tea, as they say, but I'm more of a go fast and dune riding and mountains. So, but yes, great machines you own. So great. So we are wrapping up for tonight. It's been a great night. I appreciate everybody who provided some questions, and I will not be on next week. It's Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. So, and this will be my joke for the day. Next week, I'll be on a seafood diet. So, and well, Mike, what's a seafood diet? Well, I seafood and I eat it. So that's a seafood diet. Yes, I love Thanksgiving. So I'm going to put on a few pounds next week. So everyone out there, take care, stay safe. You can always reach me by email, phone, text, whatever you got. New video coming out Saturday. Have a good night.